Hey guys and gals, it's Kathleenums here with my very delayed The Last of Us review. Thank you so much for being patient. I'm in some really intense summer classes right now, so I fell a little bit behind. But I just wanted to make this video for those of you who are really curious about my impressions of the game, and for those of you who have not yet played the game yet. So this is going to be a spoiler-free review, but I will be later doing a video on my impressions on the ending and some of the story details, so stay tuned for that. But this is just going to be my overall impressions of the game. The Last of Us follows two survivors of a fungal outbreak that makes us infected violent and zombie-like. We play as Joel, a weathered man that is not unaccustomed to unsavory methods of survival. Ellie is the young girl Joel is entrusted with protecting. Unlike her companion, she never knew the world before the chaos of the outbreak, and seems to have a completely different perspective. On their journey from a military outpost to a group called the Fireflies, these two face fungal creatures, bandits, and other forces that will challenge them to survive. First of all, I want to talk about the environment of the game, which was one of the most compelling elements of this game. The actual scenery was inspired by a concept which I believe is called ruin porn, which is a way of capturing very grotesque subjects in a way that is gorgeous. It was very scenic and gorgeous, yet grotesque at the same time, and I felt as though I could take any scene in that game and put it on my wall as a piece of art. Not only that, the facial animation and the amount of detail that they put into giving the individual characters unique mannerisms in their facial expressions, in the way that they moved, really added character to the gameplay that added so much more depth to the story and made the story so much more believable. So in those intimate, very intense moments, so much more emotion was expressed. And I have to just give it to the animators that made this game so scenic and gorgeous and believable.
Son of a bitch!
So now I'm going to talk about the gameplay, which I have some positive and some negative things to say about. First of all, I really liked that they didn't just have action-packed, crazy gun-blazing moments that satisfied my inner desire to just shoot stuff, but there was also moments that required you to be very tactful and sneaky, and these moments is really where the gameplay shined, because you have to gather supplies in order to make health kits and to make bombs. You have to put so much thought into how you're going to approach the enemies that you approach, and it can be very satisfying and fun. That was one thing that I really liked, was just that you have to put so much effort and so much thought into how you approach the enemies that you approach, because there'll be times where you don't have enough ammo to go in guns blazing, but you have to be careful and precise. So the one thing that I would complain about, though, is that they only had 4 enemies in this game, in this entire game, that are just recycled throughout the entire game. They have humans, and then there are the runners, which are very aggressive zombies that just run at you. And these aren't intimidating one-on-one. When it comes to a bunch of these things being piled on you in one room, that is a little more intimidating. But the 2 enemies that I found the only 2 enemies that really challenged me a lot were the clickers and the bloaters. The clickers, single most terrifying enemy in this game. They make these terrifying clicky noises. That you just know they're in a room once you hear that, and you know to be frightened, because once you hear that sound, you know that you can't make a single noise, because they detect sound and movement. And if they hear you making a loud enough noise, I mean, you have to move very slowly, slower than you would normally crawl in a room. You have to move extremely slow so that these things don't catch you, because once they start running towards you, you're as good as dead. Because they will kill you in one hit. You can't get in a hand-to-hand situation like you can with the humans and with the runners. They will kill you in one hit. And it's terrifying because there are so many times where I had to reload my saves because a clicker had taken me out. And then there's the bloaters, which I'm not going to go too much into. They're kind of like a boss enemy, but then recycled a couple of times. But once you grab a flamethrower, these guys are pretty much gone. Like, they're not that intimidating after you get some better weapons. But the clickers were the one enemy that terrified me the most. And I wish that there were more enemies that you discovered throughout that had different abilities and were more intimidating, because it's not exciting enough to me to have just like one enemy that actually scares me in a zombie game. So I think if they're going to make another one, which I highly suspect they are, because definitely think they set it up for a franchise there, if they're going to make another one, they need to add some more types of zombies and some more types of enemies that have different strengths and weaknesses, and that it increases in difficulty as you go along, because I felt like the way that they made it more difficult as you go along is they just kind of piled more and more zombies in one room. Overall, I just want to say that I wanted this game to be a little more difficult, to feel more like an intense survival story. And I felt that even when I increased the difficulty, yes, it made the enemies more difficult to kill, which I already had a hard time with the clickers. But I felt like it didn't make the atmosphere as harsh. It didn't make it harsher. And I wanted the atmosphere to be harsher.
You gonna be okay with this?
Yeah, not a problem.
You're doing a good job. I figured you should know that.
I won't let you down with this.
The first couple hours of the game, I was like, yeah, this is really good. This is really good. I'm liking this. I'm liking this game. Then I'm like, yeah, you know, keep playing it. Near the 60% into the game, 70% in the game, I was like, what? What just happened? What just happened? I care about these characters so much, and my heart is just breaking. I'm trying not to cry every 5 seconds of this game. It is just an emotional roller coaster. One of the best stories in any game I've played this year. Right next to, okay, BioShock Infinite is the best game that I've played this year so far. And this game, in terms of story, is second. Like, second best story this year, in my opinion. And one of the best stories in games, because it just conflicts you. That's all I can say without spoiling it. It just conflicts you. It tears open your emotions. I was talking to guys that I know that have played this game. Some very tough guys who shed some manly man tears over this game. I did not cry during this game. The only game that I've cried playing is Mass Effect, but I was dangerously close at times to just bursting into tears because the characters sneak up on you, more than halfway through the game, and every time you're in a situation where those characters might be hurt, your heart just breaks, and that's all I can say. I feel like I've repeated that so many times, but I don't know how they did it. Like, that is when you know a writer did a really good job, when you don't know how they snuck up on you and made you care about a character. Because they didn't throw character development at you in the first 5 seconds. There are still things that I don't know about these characters and want to figure out. Like, it bothers me that I still don't know so much about Joel. He's a total mystery, really, to me, still. And I love that. I love that they didn't throw the characters at us and that we didn't get to find out everything about them. That they're still kind of mysterious. And yeah, round of applause to the writing of this story. It'll make you cry. It'll make you cry some more. But that's all I'm gonna say about the story. I'm going to talk about that a little more later, but I don't want to spoil it. I just spent like 4 minutes saying the same thing over and over again, which is like, that breaks my heart that I care for these characters so dang much. And that the story is really good. And the end, this game, at the end, once you finish this game, you will feel so conflicted. Honestly, I don't know if I hate this game or if I love this game. Like, because I don't know if I hated the story or if I loved the story, if I hated the ending or loved the ending. That is how I feel. I'm so conflicted that I look at this game and I'm like, part of me just wishes I didn't play it because it messed with my emotions so much. But another part of me is like, I'm so glad I did play it because it was so damn good. So that's all I'm gonna say about this game. So for those of you who been thinking about buying this and you haven't bought it, freaking buy it. It's so good. If you're gonna, someone asked me if they should like buy a PS3 just to play this game. I wouldn't say that. Like, I mean, plus when the PS4 comes out, like the PS3 price is gonna lower a lot, so maybe that's the opportune time to do that. But if not, if you want to just experience the story, which is the best part of the game, just look up a Let's Play of it. You know, but it is a good game to have. I'm proud to have it on my shelf because it's a good game. So yeah, that's my impressions of the game. Stay tuned for another video on this game. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, follow me on Twitter and remember to comment, like, and subscribe. And I should go.